Razabani for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. Delighted to have with me on Zoom today, my man, the knowledge himself, Mr. Spencer Fearon. Spencer, firstly, how are you?
I'm tired, bro.
Like the rest of us.
Bro, I'm keeping it 100. I'm tired. That's what I am.
It's all good. It's all good. Spence, obviously, we know what we're going to talk about today, but just before we kind of go into detail about the fight itself, wasn't it just a great sight to see a full packed stadium of fans in attendance at a boxing fight?
Incredible. It was incredible. I mean, Eddie Hearn's out here breaking records. I mean, the largest in attendance was it Ashadome? Was Muhammad Ali versus Leon Spinks, 1978, the rematch, when Ali regained the title for the third time, became the third heavyweight in history to do so. And they broke those numbers. But when you think about it, and you have to think about it, that was 40 odd years ago when Ali did that. So we imagine that things would grow in the times. But I mean, that is the magnetism of Canelo. Canelo's big, and seeing what DAZN are doing right now with boxing out in America, it's exciting times, man. You got props, the work ethic of Eddie Hearn, and also the pulling power of Canelo, and those two being merged together now. We're looking at a great time for boxing, man. So I'm excited.
Let's hope so. Spence, we all know that Canelo generally starts slow. He likes to kind of work out his opponent to see what they're like, what they're going to do. How did you see the opening kind of first 4 or 5 rounds of the fight?
You know what? I thought Billy Joe was doing really well. But the difference is this, and we've seen this before with Canelo, like he needs to set his feet to punch, right? And there were certain times where, not like he was trying caution to the wind, and no one can't tell me that Billy Joel's shots, when he was throwing the shots and it wasn't affecting him, because they were. Especially at certain times, I think it was like round 5 when he threw a cluster of shots, and you could see that they were like being annoying to Canelo. But Canelo is a very, very complete fighter, and at spurts, not saying right for right, in little spurts, Billy Joel made it look ordinary, because Chris Mannix, who I know and I actually respect his opinion, Chris Mannix had Billy Joel ahead on the scorecards, but all of the judges didn't have him ahead. I think Carl Froch had Canelo by 2. I had Canelo up by 1 at the time of the stoppage. So, you know what I mean? You know, this is conjecture. And that's what it is. But I thought that Billy Joel put in a very gallant performance. And it's unfortunate how the fight was stopped, because now it's left things up to open to interpretation. And now people are pointing the finger at Billy Joel that he quit. And how can you quit if your corner stops the fight? You get what I'm trying to say to you? Right. And allegedly now he's got a broken orbital bone. That's, I mean, I'm going to be real with you. We may have seen the last of Billy Joe Saunders, you know?
We'll come to that in a moment. You mentioned there about the corner pulling him out. But let's go back a few moments before that, when Canelo landed a fantastic uppercut that caused that damage.
It's a horrible shot. Horrible shot. Yeah, horrible shot. It was a horrible shot. And until you fight, you're going to know. But it was a horrible shot. He broke his face, literally broke his face.
Spencer, just generally around, whenever Canelo had wanted to land or decided to throw a combination and landed on his body or his head, it just seemed like you could clearly, evidently see the power difference that Canelo possessed to Billy Joe. It was like gushing through. You 70,000 people screaming, you could still hear the punch land on his body. This shows how much power the man carries.
Mate, he generates power, and he has Canelo has mastered the artistry of throwing hard shots with the pivot of the waist and his body. He's mastered it. And this is something that he's had to continuously do. You know what I mean? How many hours of practice has that man done? And here lies the difference. Billy Joel, by his own admissions, could say, like, on certain things where he has cut corners, he has, you know what I mean? And that was the thing, where we was up against somebody who has been a consummate professional. And hence why the longevity that he's had and what's gonna continue. It's sad because, I mean, obviously, I wanted Billy Joel to win badly. I wanted him to win. I'm not since he's been a little kid. I really did want him to win. But then you have to be real and look at it and say, well, you are up against the best pound for pound fighter in the world, arguably the best pound for pound fighter in the world, right? So when you look at it like that, then it wasn't an easy task. When everyone was saying that Billy Joel's going to get battered, he didn't get battered in there. But you could see there's a reason where you have levels in this sport. You have levels in the sport. And I mean, I'm gonna say again, I mean, fair play to Canelo's bad, man. Don't get twisted. Canelo was a bad, he's bad. But I do see guys who I believe that could give him trouble.
We'll come to that. Spence, you talk about elite level and Canelo being that elite level fighter and one of the pound for pound best fighters now. But is it more important for fighters like Billy Joe Saunders and others that their career has the right steps are taken in their career to make sure they have those right level fights? Everyone talks about Lemieux, everyone talks about Andy Lee, but they're 2 fighters out of 30 odd fighters that Billy has fought. So it's important to have those other level fights, the high level fights, before you get to that elite level to make sure you have the right experience.
You know what? It would have been wrong if we saw a Billy Joe in with Danny Jacobs. Would have been wrong. You know what I mean? Prior to going to fight someone like a Canelo. But you know what? How can we grumble or say the guy's been a 2-weight world champion? Do you feel me? So we can't knock what Billy Joe has accomplished, right? He's been a British champ as well, right? Billy Joe has picked up trophies along the way. We can't knock his accomplishments. His accomplishments have actually been excellent, right? And he's been rewarded financially. The thing, and I think Tyson Fury alluded to it, like when this fight was first announced, was that maybe if he'd have been a little bit more active or been in certain fights, then yeah. But you know, it is what it is. And when we say like it's a steady progression. But like I said, I believe, forget about how the fight was stopped. I believe the performance that he did when he was fighting, it was admirable. And we got to commend him for that, you know?
Markitibs said that it was his obviously leading eye that was damaged, the right eye obviously being a southpaw. Had it been the opposite eye, Spence, do you think the decision would have still been the same to take him out of the fight?
No, I don't think so. But I'm also going to say, Markitibs, that fight there yesterday, that's big fight experience. Because you're dealing with the global icon superstar of boxing when you're dealing with Canelo, right? The weight of expectation on Canelo's shoulders, but also, I mean, the weight of expectations and energy that's actually is transferable. It's transferable to the opponent because you are actually the enemy. You're the one that's going into Lions Den, right? And the pressure that Markitibs must have been under, I'm just going to keep this thing 100, must not have been easy, because you've had big nights with Dillian Whyte. That isn't like a Canelo fight. So you think all of Dylan's big fights, put them all together in one, do not equate to being up against a Canelo, because the whole world is on you, right? And no one can't tell me that's not pressuring. That's pressuring to anybody. Seriously. Me personally, I would feel a little bit more happy if Mark had his father there, if Jimmy Tibbs was there. I would have felt that, yeah, he would have been a bit more at ease. That's what I believe.
Okay, interesting to say. Billy would obviously, I'm not sure if it's an orbital or a cheekbone. I think they're talking about it's an orbital. He'll probably be out for a while. As you know, Spence, you're a man who gets a lot of criticism yourself, but Billy's going to get a lot of criticism now about the nature of losing. We saw Chris Eubank Jr. and his video yesterday. There's this video surfacing about Dillian Whyte speaking about Daniel Dubois. is that just part of the game? Is that something that he's just going to have to take on the chin?
Listen to me. It's part and parcel of the sport that we're in. You know what I mean? And that is all it is. And like on the criticism never comes from the people that really truly love you. So then it shouldn't really matter. And if it does matter, then you have to address it. So like the criticism that Billy Joe's gonna get is because people are gonna say that he quit. Right? How can you quit if your corner pull you out? You didn't quit. Your corner pulled you out because they said, you know what? Right? That's like me saying when Kell Brook fought Golovkin, Kell Brook quit. Oh, did he quit? Dominic Ingle threw the towel in. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So it's how you want to look at it. But the thing about it is this, whereas Billy Joe is actually a nice guy, whereas he's done things in the past, which in his mind he may have thought was funny, but it hasn't been funny. These things sometimes come back and bite you in the bum. But I would say to anybody who's quick to criticize somebody like a Billy Joe, right? It's better to create something that others criticize than to create nothing and criticize others. So all those people who are criticizing, you ain't creating shit. So shut the shit up. How about that one?
Absolutely. You mentioned that you don't think we'll see Billy Joe in the ring again. We've seen his accomplishments: British, European, Commonwealth, two-time world champion. He's done everything. He's made enough money. Do you honestly believe that he won't be back in the ring again?
You know what? I think realistically, he could have retired before this fight and financially being good, right? He wanted to challenge himself against the best. He did challenge himself against the best, right? And he came up second best against the best, right? It's the game. But I'm wondering, like, with the damage that's going to take a year for you. You get what I'm trying to say? So I don't think that he will continue to fight. You know what I mean? I don't think he will. He's been in the game a long time as well. He's been a professional fighter for what? What's it, 12 years now? 12? Yeah, 12, coming up 13 years. That's a long time, you know? Right? And it does take its toll on yourself and everything else. And maybe, you know what? He can retire with a lot of trophies, a lot of traps behind him. You know what I mean? A lot of accolade behind him. You're a two-weight world champion. You're a British and you're Commonwealth. You're a British and European champion. That's big business. So you know what? Maybe like he could walk off into the sunset.
No, absolutely. Well, we wait to see what happens. But Spence, obviously, a note on Canelo. Dominated 160, went up to 168. He's taken most of the belts. Got one belt left. He says he can go on for another 7 years. If he goes on for 7 years, how high can he climb up these divisions? 175, cruiserweight. And you mentioned
no, well,
he's been at
175 already. There were, you know, I mean, Baturviev would be a great fight, but I would like to see Canelo fight Charlo. I think Charlo is deserved of an opportunity because, and also, you know, I mean, I saw the spat between him and Andrade, right? And I was critical of Andrade in his last performance for the simple fact that I know that he's so supremely gifted that sometimes he switches off. He could not switch off in a Canelo fight because if he did, then Canelo could switch him off. So maybe those two right now at the 168 division, I'd like to see. And I actually do feel kind of sorry for Andrade. You know what I mean? Because he's deserving of a big fight because of his accomplishments. But I just think like sometimes when he performs, he needs to put in a big performance to make people really want to demand it. And also like I like the fact how he was upset defending his old man, and it is what it is. But you know, the game's the game.
Was it nice to see? Obviously, Charlo put a story up somewhere where he said, "Forget the fame, forget the money, forget the networks. Let's make the fight happen."
Yeah, of course, because he wants that fight. And this week, you know, Charlo's serious. Don't get twisted. Charlo wants to test himself against the best. He's a fighter, a true fighter, very very strong guy as well, right? But like last night, I did see flaws in Canelo. You know, I'm just gonna be real. I did see a little bit of flaws, and but was it flaws or was it because Billy Joel's awkwardness of him being a southpaw and being able to throw the shots at the angles that he was? Yeah, you know what I mean. But yeah, I hope that Charlo does get the opportunity. For some strange reason, I can't see that because you know it's going to be Caleb Plant next, so he could try and pick up the IBF title and Caleb Plant. Sorry, it'll be Plant next, and then it'll be unified. It'll be the first man in history to be unified super middleweight champion. So if he can get through Plant, which I believe that he could get through.
Okay, Spence, thank you for giving me a little bit of time this Sunday. I appreciate it. Everyone's tired.
Yeah, man.
Today.
Everybody's tired. I mean, everybody's tired, but like I said, really, really grateful to talk to you, Raz. All right.
Appreciate it.
And what's it? It's Eid on Wednesday. Yeah. So yeah. Don't worry. When I get off here, I'll get something sent to your little chavvy. All right.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate that.
All right, brother.
I'm sure we'll catch up soon. Spencer Fearon, IFL TV. Thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum.